RingVille episode Corey Mac. Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Kevin Herrera Sanchez, KHS, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with one half of the Intense Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions, the Mac of NYC, Corey Mac. How's it going?
How you doing, brother?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
Good. It's a beautiful day in New York City. Can't complain, right?
No, absolutely. It's New York. Come on.
Come on, it's New York, baby. Every day is beautiful. It just depends on how you look at it, right?
yeah. Oh, you know what? That garbage looks nice.
Maybe not that. We got to try to clean it up a little bit. But,
no, for sure.
We'll talk to other people about that.
No, legit. You were born and raised in New York, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Brooklyn.
What part?
Sunset Park.
Sunset Park?
Yeah, Sunset Park.
And you spent your whole life there?
Yeah, pretty much, you can say. I mean, I worked in other places and ventured off, but I definitely rest my head right back in Sunset Park.
No, absolutely. Nice. Your personality as a wrestler is New York, right? Your personification of New York. Even your gear itself, it says, you're...
Yes,
right?
you're... I think we should have started with this, like, give it to them. You're... Make sure you do it from your lungs, though, right? Don't give me a little baby ear. It's yeah. There you go. That's how you get it out there.
There you go. Right? And then, what does 7818 stand for?
The area code 718.
You see,
Let's go 718.
I thought about that too. I was like, I just want to make sure. You know,
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, hold on. Give me a second. Let me grab something quick. How about one of these for my man right here?
This for me?
That's for you.
Damn. Hold up. Speaking of it. Right there, look at that.
There you go.
Look at that.
In bold print.
But look, the Mac of NYC. I'm gonna put this on.
Go right ahead. It's yours.
Cool.
There you go. It looks good on you, brother.
Look at that.
That's representing right there.
There you go. Come on.
You're 718.
Oh, I was about to say, my phone number starts with 718, but it don't.
You're probably like a 646 guy. Right?
Actually not, 917.
Oh, 917. Okay, that's still original to New York. That's all right.
But it is.
That's original. We had 718, 917, I think 347. Back when we had like flip phones or something like that.
Yeah, in fact, my first phone was one of those where like the screen just kind of twirls, like up.
Okay.
Like it wasn't a Sidekick. But
which was a great phone.
Shout out to Sidekick.
Shout out to T-Mobile and Sidekick. That was a generational movement. And I promise you, us over here in New York, we definitely was all side flipping it. I definitely had mine, that's for sure. I had mine.
I feel you. What does MAC stand for?
MAC, okay. So, MAC stands for, there was a few linings in it, but I gave it an actual baseline. Because everybody can come up with a word and you just want to add it to your name to make it pop, right? But I was like, if I'm gonna do something, I wanted to have meaning behind it. So for me, MAC stands for money and cars.
Money and cars.
Yes, because like again, you already know this is New York. We hustlers out here in good terms. You know what I'm saying? And we always about doing what's right for us, for our peoples, making that money, helping people get theirs, and cars. Because since I was young, I've always been also a car enthusiast. So
nice.
So I just added a little, gave it some meaning behind it.
Okay.
So that's what it stands for. In my perspective, and then. You wanna get a little more competitive. Yeah. It stands for mastering all challenges.
Mastering all challenges.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. You want to get a little competitive aspect to it. You know what I'm saying? Give a couple of meanings. You know what I mean? But that's what the MAC stands for.
Okay. What's your favorite car?
My favorite car?
Yeah. What's your favorite car?
I would have to say my favorite brand.
Ooh, okay.
So yes, I am definitely. Don't be mad at me, everybody, but I'm definitely a Honda boy. I would say that. Yeah, that was it, man. For a lot of people, Fast and Furious probably changed their life. Yep. Probably not as much as it changed mine.
A big Fast and Furious fan?
You know what? The first one. Okay. Let's get down to the actual beginning stages of what the street culture and all that was about. Right. So, yeah, man. When like that, I already like knew about cars growing up, but when that movie dropped, and the vibe, the visuals of the cars, everything they did from detail to detail, from the inside, out, interior, engine work, everything they did, the way they put their all their heart and soul into that car to also use it as an identification of themselves. Right. Which is where it was just like, boom, man. That's me, man. I love that. I want to be there. I was really young though at the time, so like everybody else, I just had to wait, man. And I was just playing Need for Speed Underground and
Shout out to that game.
Shout out to Need for Speed Underground. The first two.
the first two for sure. Yeah. I remember playing the second one for hours because the customization in that game was intense.
Insane. They definitely gave you like that feel. So if you was a fan of the movie, again, Honda boy, so Honda Civic in that game, S2000, you know, things like that, and whatever else you guys liked. And there's that's another thing that's cool about the car culture. It's a huge, you know what I'm saying? Just like in professional wrestling, there's different layers. There's different layers to the car culture.
Right.
You have the exotics, you got the German cars, you have the American muscle cars, you have the import cars, you know what I'm saying? And in Puerto Rico, they love the old school Corollas, swapping out the little baby four-cylinder, putting the Rotaries engine into it, and you see these cars that are probably like 1,000 pounds doing like, I don't know, 4 seconds down the track. They need parachutes practically. No, they literally put parachutes on these cars to stop them because I think they were going to take off because that's, you know, yeah. Yeah, it's a hell of a culture, man. I can say that, and that's pretty much it, man. Like, and man, I got my, you know, 16 years old, ran to the DMV, you know, told my mom, yeah, you got to sign this, and she's like, you gonna drive it? I said, yeah. And I tried to buy a car before I got my license.
Okay.
My dad wasn't with it.
He was like, nah.
I was trying to do the negotiations with the guy. I was like, yeah, it was a 91 Integra, 91 Acura Integra, 2-door green, and I seen it for sale, and I'm just like, I'm call this number. So I called the number. I meet up with the guy, and he's like, you know, you're a little young. I'm like, nah, don't worry about it. I got my license. So I bring my dad over, and he's like, he gives me the whole dadness of being cool with it.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, he calls the guy back. He's like, hey, you're not talking to myself. He's too young. And I was like, damn it. So I was like, I'll try again. You know, I'll try again. And then maybe like a year or two later, I bought my first car, which is a Dodge Neon at the time.
Dodge Neon?
Yeah, I guess to some people not the coolest, but they made a cool version of it later. A nice turbo-charged one or whatever. And then shortly after, I got my first Honda Civic, and
that changed your life right there.
That's it, man.
You was a Honda boy for
that. Was it. That was it. My first 2-door Honda Civic, super low to the ground, extremely loud music for no reason whatsoever. Muffler, everything. I was just making a scene, just
driving down the block with the music.
I loved it. Yeah, they hated me. They hated me. You know, even going to park, I'm sure I was waking up the abuelas on the block and everything, and they're like, this kid with this car, man. And ever since then, man, I just probably own like every make and model of a Civic that you can think of, from like a 4-door hatchback, 2 doors. I love the 2 doors.
And you also work on them, right?
Yeah. So I got to, you know, a lot of people laugh. They're like, so you went to school, right? He was like, actually, I was like, no, actually I wasn't. I just liked it so much, and I met friends in the neighborhood that same thing. But they were like a little bit older, and they were already deeper into it. So I pretty much just started hanging out there too. And again, man, going back to like the visuals of Fast and Furious, where like, you know, one day they were like, hey, want to come down to what's called the trophy party. If anybody knows New York City, we used to do trophy parties, whatever.
What is trophy party?
So a trophy party is basically where there's a bunch of car crews in like different neighborhoods. You got ones in Bushwick, Sunset, the Bronx, Queens, whatever. Everybody has their own name, they got their own logos, and they're a crew. And they all go to this one location for that night. And the person who's running the car club that's running that party that night literally has a setup of trophies. So with the trophies, it's like you got like, you know, best 90s, best 2000s, best American, whatever car. So it pretty much is stages of the vehicles or classes.
Okay.
And man, when I went there, and I swear it's like a scene out of a movie. And that was it. My eyes just lit up one more time, and I was like, this is what it is. Like this. And and I seen all that, and all the guys and everybody just kind of like identifying themselves with their car crews and stuff. And yeah, man, it was a takeoff from there, and I got involved in that, and just same thing. So a lot of those guys were like, don't go to the mechanic shop, we got you. You know what I'm saying? And if we break it, we'll figure it out. So I broke a lot of things before. Hey, listen, you break it and you know how to fix it, right? You know what I'm saying? So I've done my fair share of breaking things and learning how to fix them on my own. And then that was pretty much it. I just stood there. Even to this day, man, like I have a lot of friends that, you know, they ask me questions, and, you know, I know they're not as in tune with it. So I always give them my opinion and the best answer I can. You know what I'm saying? Like for them as well, like, you know, what I think is good for them. I'm not going to say, hey, go put 20-inch rims and a $5,000 system, and you guys got, you know, you got a kid, or you got to use this car to go back and forth from Queens to Brooklyn. We got crazy potholes, so I don't have to be like, hey, I broke a rim. I'm like, damn, man, I know the feeling. I just give them my genuine opinion and how I I see them and I visualize what type of card they should be with. You know what
I get that.
Yeah.
So you talked about your introduction to cards, right? What was your introduction to wrestling?
Wrestling. Okay, so everybody probably has the same, I was like 2 years old, 5 years old, right? So originally, I was young. I was I was young. I remember turning on the TV, again, hanging out in Abuela's house, watching cartoons in the morning like anybody else, best cartoons in the morning back in the day. And, eventually I went into like, I don't know if you guys remember the show called American Gladiators.
Yes.
It's like a competition show, right?
Yes.
Pretty much like another version of wrestling, I guess, right? So it was like Gladiators, and then it was WWF, Superstars, WWF Superstars.
Superstars, yes, I remember that.
So I would see it, right? And I would be like, oh, this, I kind of watched it. It was cool. I was, really young at the time. And then it kind of faded away. Big fan of Batman and things like that. Then you had Mighty Morphin Power Rangers came out, and that was a phenomenon all on its own. I think every kid at one point was a Power Ranger fan somewhere. And, even with that, there was some combat in that. So, like there was martial arts parts of that. So that right there drew me to like the idea of the combat and the martial arts things. And I, again, the color schemes, storylines and all that stuff. I had a cousin that was a super diehard wrestling fan.
Okay.
Like, I would go to the house and he literally would just talk about wrestling and Shawn Michaels. And so I'm there hanging out with him. I'm watching it. I'm like, this is cool. The Power Rangers, man. Right? He's like, you'll get it one day. He's like, you'll get it eventually. So whatever. Fast forward a couple of years, he comes and gives me this story about like, hey, something Hulk Hogan. Remember Hulk Hogan? Yeah, of course. What is Hulk Hogan? He's like this bad guy now and this, that. And I'm like, all right, whatever. WCW, NWO, right? So I get like, at that time we had what video game? It was like probably like Nintendo 64 or something at that time. Yeah.
It was WCW games / Nitro.
Yes, at that time. Yes, I go to like the local video game store. I buy like the game at the time. I think it was Revenge. Yeah, so I buy Revenge and I pop it in. I'm like, this is kind of cool. So this is cool. So then I'm like, I'm interested. Like, let me see this. So I go back and back in the day, back then we still had like Blockbuster and stuff like that. So I was able to. So I'm renting some tapes. I'm like, this is cool, man. Like this is really cool. So I started watching and I'm like, these NWO, this is like they're, the most righteous good guy of all times, what drink your milk, eat your vitamins, Hulk Hogan. This guy's he's a badass now. Like he's got the black in his beard and I know some people don't feel too candy of Hulk Hogan, but whatever. This is the true story, right? So I see it and I'm like, this is cool. Like I'm like, this is badass. And then I see Sting. I'm like, this guy's coming from the rafters, right? Nice. And I knew at the time as a kid of that movie, The Crow, that had came out years ago. So I kind of understood. Like, he's kind of
a reference.
It's a reference, yeah. I didn't know the depthness of it at the time, but I was like, that's kind of cool, like the way he does it, and the vigilante side of him. Growing up too, I was a Batman fan, so same kind of concept. And then I was just like, I just started getting hooked on it, And then I had like at that time, older cousins, and they were like watching it, and then I was like really in it, and then I just like started really
getting into it.
Yeah, I started going like where I was having my cousin record Nitro for me. And then I'd watch it like the next. Yes, I'm telling you. So I'd watch it like the next day. They were almost on their way out, but
like 1999, 2000.
Yeah, it was like 2000. So unfortunately, it was like really like when it got bad to everybody's eyes.
It was bad. It was entertaining.
Yeah, so I was just there for the whole visualness of what was happening. And then again, really quick. Unfortunately, at that time, it kind of like faded. Yeah. Also, there was WWF started airing on SmackDown. On Channel 9, which was regular TV. At that time, obviously, clearly you can understand I didn't have cable. So I didn't have cable at the time. It's cool, it's whatever. So Channel 9, SmackDown. So I start watching SmackDown. I'm like, okay, I already know wrestling now. Yeah. So I start getting into that part of it. I'm like, okay.
First, because this is you learning a new company.
Yeah, new wrestler. I knew of like WWF. It's just I wasn't there yet with it. You know what I'm saying? I just liked what I like, and also I couldn't watch it. So how can you really like know some? Yeah, you can't watch the product. So like I was able to watch WCW, even though I guess I could have had them recorded for me, but I just didn't want to bother that much as a kid. It was like, at least they're doing that. Like imagine, and they aired at the same time. So
yeah, they did.
Whatever. Channel 9, SmackDown. I'm like, oh cool. This is so now I knew a lot of them. Yeah. Undertaker, Stone Cold, The Rock. I knew the big names, right? And then I started watching SmackDown. So SmackDown gave me a way to watch it. And that was it, man. Like then I just like, not that I fully, like I still watched WCW to the end. I kept loyal at the moment. And then, you know, with SmackDown and WWF, I fell right in. And,
you fell right.
Oh man, like seeing that like first couple of episodes with like Triple H and The Rock, and then instantly Triple H became my favorite wrestler. I know everybody hated him at that time.
Yeah,
I'm like a kid, and I'm like, but this guy was so badass to me. And then he looked great, like larger than life.
He was the top heel in like 2001.
Yeah. So this is like 2000. So this is actually when he like just gets the title.
Oh, that Reign of Terror?
Yeah, like that very beginning. I'm telling you, it's like the very beginning where he just gets it. I think he wrestles British Bulldog. Mm-hmm. And The Rock does that moment where he like slides or something like that. Okay. And he does that whole moment that he kind of like elbow. Yeah, he does it to Triple H. He kind of like plays him and whatever. But it's that very beginning of Triple H and the whole when they were starting that version of him being the man on top. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So instantly I was like, yo, this guy's badass. Like he's badass, but he looks crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when you visualize, to me at that time, I was like, when I visualize what the champion is and looks like, this guy this is the epitome of it. Yeah. And his promos were cool, and you know, for me, like the guys he got to work with, like The Rock and stuff like that at that time, is also what elevated him. You know what I'm saying? Yes, because you know, you have this cool heel or bad guy, whatever, and without a good baby face, it doesn't go anywhere. And Rock is a people's champion. Exactly. You know, he's got the crowd in the palm of his hands, and the dynamic, and then, you know, even I think later on it goes to like Mick Foley, who does his whole Mick Foley, Cactus, whatever. He brings out
Mankind,
a different version of himself, you know, to go against Triple H, because they're just like, you know, they're overbearing, and he can't get a win on him, or he can't.
I think that's they have a no DQ match at Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Right, and that's really the match where I was like, wait, Triple H he can go.
Yeah. So that's actually the first pay-per-view I've ever saw live.
Really?
Yeah, that's my first pay-per-view I ever saw live.
That's Royal Rumble, either 2000?
That is Royal Rumble 2000.
2000, right?
And it was here in Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
It's in Madison Square. So obviously, I wanted to go, which wasn't going to happen. You know what I mean? It's okay. You know what I'm saying? You know, at that time, also the product was a little more adult-like. So it was a little hard to convince my parents, like, yo, I want to go to this. They were like, what? Like, it's fine. They were cool, but they were just like, yeah, whatever. Like, you know, and it's a Sunday. You got school tomorrow. Get out of here.
Right.
Like, I gotta go to Madison Square Garden till midnight and then go to school the next day. I was like, whatever. But I did convince them to let me stay over at my friend's house.
Nice.
So he, at that time, if anybody knows about the hot box and cable back in the day, he had the hot box. So he was like, bro, I got it. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, we're watching Royal Rumble tonight. And I'm like, I'm there. Yeah, first pay-per-view I saw live, and again, that whole, you know, Triple H and Cactus Jack for that match.
And then that's The Rock winning the Rumble too.
That's the whole Rock.
Big Show winning. Yeah.
That's all that. That's like the too cool little part where they were there.
They just kept getting like thrown out, right? Like
it was just like they did the whole dance in the middle there, and like Rikishi like throws them all out and stuff. You also got Kurt Angle versus Taz. We finally got Taz in WWF at that time.
Right, that was his debut.
That was his pay-per-view debut, yeah. Because you know, like, so I had like older friends, like at that time too, that were like from the neighborhood, and they were into the ECW. I wasn't there yet. Okay. They were like, you know, you'll get.
Like, oh, wait till you hear about this guy, right? Like,
yeah, I didn't know about ECW at all. Like I didn't know, and then it took maybe within a year later, I started learning about that too. Yeah. But they knew what it was. So when they saw him and, you know, with the towel and who he was, and they were like, yo, that's the guy from ECW. Like he's gonna change everything now in WWF. Watch what happens. And, you know, he comes in and he wrestles Kurt Angle and stuff like that.
That's one of the best debuts of that time.
Yeah. And then, you know, shout out to him being from Brooklyn too. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like, so little pieces, man. Little things. And as I'm watching, it's just starting to gravitate towards, you know, where we end up today.
Right.
You know?
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. I did not let you talk, man.
That
was great. No, it's always great hearing how people got into wrestling, and especially like who was like their favorites. Yeah. Right. It's like for me, Shawn Michaels was one of my favorites when I first started watching.
I see, like my cousin.
Right, and it's like I know their time, like in DX time in like 2006, wasn't regarded as the best, but I was a kid, so that was great for me. It was like, yo.
They gave you something to watch.
Exactly.
They brought something back to give you something that you could watch. You know what I'm saying, at that time. I didn't get to enjoy the original DX run either. Like when they were really like pushing the envelope. I didn't see. I was super young at that time, so they would have definitely turned the TV off on me. Like, go to bed, kid.
Right. So you are one half of the Intense Wrestling Alliance Tag Team Champion, right? With Larry Anderson.
Yes.
And you're called NYC's Finest.
NYC's Finest.
How did that tag team come to be?
So, me and Larry known each other for a while, for training in the same school, and also same thing. He's a New Yorker. I know that. We actually lived in the same neighborhood, didn't know each other as kids.
Okay.
But then when we started training, we would conversate, and we were like, "Oh, this is cool." So, you know, like he had, he was in business before me. Like he started before me. So when I got to the school, he was already there. And that's how we started to get to know each other. We also have a mutual friend who's a pro wrestler as well, Osito.
Okay. Yeah.
So hopefully, got to get him here one day. He's great. That's a whole episode by himself. So same thing, training together, whatever. You know, we trained, and he had some, you know, regular stuff, life stuff. You know, good things happened to him and stuff. And then he came back into the wrestling fold, and we're at IWA now. And the promoter over there, he was pretty much like, hey, you know, I want to do something where I put you guys together. How do you feel about that? And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Like we've trained together. We know each other. He's like, all right, cool. You know, think of, you know, you guys work on something together because I think you guys would be a good fit. And I'm like, me too. And I was like, yeah, you know what? We train together. We can do something together. Let's do it. So me and him got to talking, and you know, he's a very strong guy. He believes in himself a lot, which is, he's a confident man, you know what I'm saying? And that's New York. I ain't mad at him. So, you know, with that, with his confidence, with me and where I'm, you know, with, you know, representing New York City as well, you know, just like a lot of other greats too. But I just, you know, I was like, you know, let's just be New York, you know, it's NYC's Finest. Like let's put a stamp on it, and let's run with it, you know. And then we were given the opportunity to be in the championship match for the, at the time, vacant IWA tag team titles, and I'm like, yeah, let's run with it. I think we can do this. Like I believe we could win this, or we could take this shit all the way. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what led to that. You know what I'm saying? That's we got together. And
was the titles vacated when Darren Richardson vacated? Because him and Rochi
Roach, yes, and Rochi. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Shout out to Watch Your Mouth though. Like those is like my brothers right here. Like that's for sure. Yes, same thing. Trained with them as well. So, but more than training, those are my dudes. Like, you know, even when they won it, like I was just right there, like, you know, hyping it, you know, as much as I can hype it without being a cheerleader, you know what I'm saying? Like literally. And I was like, yo, these is my dudes right here. You know what I'm saying? When you do that, that's my dudes right here. That's what it was, you know. And so that there's a lot like a weight to that, right? Too. So you know, now, you know, we won them, but I would have loved to have had the match with them involved. You know what I'm saying? To be able to tell that story in the ring with all of us, you know, because that's just what this is all about at the end of the day, you know, to tell these great stories as well as compete, you know what I'm saying? You want to compete against your friends who you look at as the best, or you want to compete with other people who are just as good, if not, you know, everybody has their layer of being better or whatever the case is, and it just elevates you, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So,
you never know, that match gonna happen. You never know.
Yeah, I wanted to, listen, I ain't trying to plug too much, but let me know, you know what I'm saying? Y'all really didn't lose them, so let me know. You know,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So, what was the start of your wrestling career like? Because you're currently right now with LPW, right? Yes. Which is like the sister company of House of Glory Wrestling.
I would like to say we label it as the NXT of HOG.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it like that because it you know, you could say it's like the developmental brand of it, right? Not to take away that everybody there can't elevate to literally compete one day.
I seen those shows and they're great. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Kill it on
everybody gets busy. I would say that. But then with that being said, we have to put the respect on House of Glory.
No, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, you know what I mean? So that's why I call it the NXT, because just like WWE and NXT, you got the guys like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks. I mean, we could keep going.
Right,
and these all where they started from? NXT.
Yeah.
And longest reigning champions, like, I mean, the stories are speaking for themselves, and we're watching it happen, right? So I think we definitely are, you know, as a collective, we're cool with that, you know what I mean? Because we're just pretty much letting y'all know, like we here. Yeah. we here, like we coming, and it's not to to take away. We're here to add more. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And if we could get a little rivalry one day, maybe we'll get a nice what do you call it, like a brand war, you know.
Yes.
I think I believe a lot of us can hold our own. You know what I mean? And that's not a takeaway from House of Glory at all, but we're
it's just bringing up.
Yeah,
you know?
we're literally being seasoned by these people, you know, that are the stars of House of Glory now. The Ken Broadways, the Charles Masons, the Montequias, who else we got there? We got the Nolo Catanos, we got the Encore,
Violet.
We got Violet for the women, top again, another one, top for the women's division, you know, Sonia Strong, you know. And then we have legendary Amazing Red.
Absolutely.
Who he's like, you know.
Influential to that.
Yeah. You know, Brian XL, same thing, you know, down there. So, LPW, which stands for Legacy Pro Wrestling. We're literally, you know, trying to keep building this legacy. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. We, you know, we want to make sure House of Glory, you know, excels to the highest peak it can go. And with us being the next one up, we just know that this is the, you know, we're gonna represent you just as hard. You know, and we, you know, we're not gonna let this fade. You know what I mean? We're gonna keep going. Like you know, but yeah, there's LPW.
So what was your time like deciding to go train there and just like kind of being in that environment?
So I chose House of Glory over just being at any other school for, I just feel like it was gonna fit. You know what I mean? Which is crazy because the truth be told, at first, when I was thinking about these ideas were flowing through my head and stuff like that. And I'll give you a little insight real quick on that. But I was like, hey, you know, where can I go to train? Where can I fit? So I started to research it because it's different, like pro wrestling. It's not anywhere you just go to like, hey, pro wrestling school. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the OGs and the vets, those, you know, they said that they had a really hard time just trying to find somewhere to train and things like that. So thank God for the world of social media and just things like that, and you start to learn things. So, you know, I started looking at school, boom, and Gleason's, Johnny Rod's, first one that pops up too. So it's like that pops up, House of Glory pops up. Right. I'm like, okay, that's like the closest one I could probably get to, you know, being in the tri-state area right here. I got to sit down with Johnny Rod's, which was amazing. He was an amazing man, great, phenomenal. Like sat for like 2 hours and just talked, you know what I'm saying? He just talked about wrestling, but we talked, you know, about people's stuff. He's also of Puerto Rican descent, and he just, you know, gave me the backstory.
Hall of Famer too.
Hall of Famer, WWF Hall of Famer. There is take nothing away from that man, his promotion and everything. Yeah, he's there, and it was just at that time in my personal life, I wanted to do it. Okay. I just couldn't. I had some, like, you know, I was dealing with my own losses and things like that, so I just unfortunately steered away from the idea of it. I kind of went back to a mind frame of, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? Like this sounds amazing, but I don't know. Okay. So we'll fast forward a year. House of Glory for the first time puts up an open house. So I'm just at work, you know, just doing my regular stuff, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you know, oh, that's cool, because at this point I'm already, you know, seeing their shows. They had, you know, I've seen that they had like Cody Rhodes at the time. I'm like, man, House of Glory is they're doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? I hadn't been to a show yet or anything like that, but I was starting to definitely be intrigued by the product. You know, YouTube and stuff like that. Yeah. So they put up the open house. I'm like, you know what? Whatever. What's the worst that can happen? Boom. Hey, how you doing? My name is such and such. Got the response back. Come this day. You know, with everybody else. We get to the building. There's a video on YouTube of it too, which is really cool. Nice. And there's like a line around the block. You know what I'm saying? And you know, this line is crazy. You know, and I'm probably at the very end of this line because New York City traffic got there a little late, whatever. But anyway, you know, at that time they had a different location for the school, so you know they packed this location with, man, I'm gonna say like 200 people. Maybe more, I don't even know.
That was like that little room, right, where the ceilings were like super
low. Man, like, Ridgewood, which is, that's a whole story too. And so we get in there, and you know, everybody's there, you know, we're just all there. We're just all like taking this first step. You know, we get there, you know, Amazing Red is there. A couple of the other guys are there too, and they're just like, all right, you guys came in, you know what this is about now, right? Yeah. No, we don't know anything. We don't know. We're super fans, and we all think we can do this shit right now. So let's see what can happen. Right. So people just started dropping. within time, you know what I mean? Like whether it's the physicality of it, whether it's time consuming, or whether it's just not for them. You know, people just started. So like I said, went from like 200 to 50.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
So after that open house, right? Like, what is it like being a student there? Like, do you get to work on shows as well? Or
Yeah.
do you like? Oh, so in what aspect?
That's a big part of it too. So not only are they here to train you and teach you the fundamentals of pro wrestling in ring, there's a whole atmosphere and there's a whole way of being behind the scenes. You know, you are transitioning from a fan to a worker. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're not gonna fanboy out to any of these pro wrestlers that you would have. You know, you see these guys come in like, you know, Ted DiBiase, you know, Rikishi we had at the time.
They had Will Ospreay there too.
Will Ospreay, yeah. So you gotta try to keep your composure. I know it's cool being around it, but they also view you as not as a peer, right? But as someone who's helping this show, this product, and you know they're here to work. You know what I'm saying? Essentially, like yes, they love wrestling just as much as anybody else, but they're here to work. So you got to give them that line of respect. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to transition yourself into being a worker and part of the business, even if you're just a guy that brings them water. You know what I'm saying? Even if
so they also run down like even like backstage etiquette and just like the things to do and not to do when you're like at a show.
Yes, 100%. Like in a very everything is professional. Like again, wrestling is fun and we love it and it's a show, but when it's showtime, we get professional. You know what I'm saying? Like we have students learn ring crew, which I think is great. It's also we use the term paying your dues. So that's like paying your dues, you know what I'm saying? Like you show up early, you help with the ring crew, we get things ready for the show. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big part of it for all the students, and I feel like it teaches good discipline as well, you know what I'm saying? And it teaches structure. You know, the structure in pro wrestling and everything we do, and this is another form of it, you know what I'm saying? So we learn all those things just by being a student at House of Glory. It's not just come in, take a few bumps and go home. Yeah, not at all. House of Glory is it's not like that, you know what I'm saying? If I'm plugging it, I'm plugging it, whatever. But if you want to, you know what I'm saying? Again, nothing against any other school at all, but just from what I've seen and how we do it, I'm sure other schools do it similar, but I can tell you from my experience that it's cool, it's structured, and it's definitely somewhere where I feel like I definitely fit in, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, that's a great thing to hear.
Yeah.
Shout out to House of Glory.
Shout out to House of Glory. Shout out to Red and Brian.
Absolutely, absolutely. Big shout out to them. So now transitioning more to like being a wrestler, right? There's gonna be people you don't get along with.
Yeah.
And
you don't get along with everybody at work, right?
And there's a group, the Philosophy Club, that you've had various matches with, right? John Arias.
Yes.
Right. Hillary P. Wisdom.
Yeah. Mr. Hillary P. Wisdom himself.
So it's like, what was it like? Just maybe not even working with them, but just kind of have to deal with them.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you can see we are cut from two very different cloths. Okay, listen, we might both be New Yorkers at heart, but there's differences. Okay, clearly, you know what I mean. I kept it professional as much as I could. You know what I'm saying? We went to the shop. We were able to film some promos for what we needed. We kept it as professional as I could. I'm not gonna lie, when he was on the floor, I mean, listen, I never hit a man when he's down, all right? But it was like, would have dropped the car on him. Nah, I wouldn't do that. I'm playing. I don't want to get sued. But yeah, whatever. He's definitely a thorn on my side. Right. I can tell you. I mean, listen, like if you're following and you know, because of him, I cannot wrestle in New York City right now.
Yes.
Literally.
Because you did have a no disqualification match, right? Or street fight. And unfortunately, you didn't pick up the win.
No.
But you did do a lot of damage.
I hope so, man. Listen, everything I could find, man. Cone, whatever was in my wits end, I pulled the table out, whatever. I was like, man, I'm ending this.
Right,
like,
you whipped him with a belt. Too,
I even got to whoop that trick, and I was like, I should have whooped his ass more. But listen, I was like, listen, let's get down to this. Let's end this. Listen, we all grew up here. This is the concrete jungle, whatever, right? So we street fighting this. Let's go. Like enough of the tights and stuff like that. I got nothing against our professional side of it, but I'm like, let's do this already.
Sometimes you just gotta fight.
Sometimes you just gotta fight. Like, listen, at the end of the day, we are competitors. We train, we do everything. We're gonna fight. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna fight, man. With that, I also got the the privilege of working with a legend in Chris Divine.
Absolutely.
Which unfortunately he sided himself with them, but whatever. That's that's
big respect.
Grown. Listen, he's a legend in his own right. So for me dealing with them, I will take that as an immense honor to share the ring with a man like that. So Philosophy Club, right?
Yes. But hey, at least you're done with him for now.
Well, I don't know about that because there ain't no way I'm staying out of New York City for too long.
That's true.
So
That's true.
I will honor the stipulation. But listen, we from New York, man. I'm gonna find my way back in.
The Mac of NYC.
Yeah, the MAC of NYC needs to be in NYC. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna honor the moment. I'm gonna honor the stipulation, and I won't fight here at the moment. Okay.
So, what are some wrestling goals you have for yourself?
Wrestling goals. Short term, long term. Short term is probably just continue to grow, to grow as a person, to grow as definitely an in-ring competitor, and to grow in the field in general. Just to keep learning more styles, being able to get in the ring with any style. You know what I'm saying? Because wrestling has a lot of styles, and like we have so many platforms now that I'm pretty sure we all realize. We're not gonna war against each other, but we have New Japan, we have AEW, we have British style, we have Lucha Libre, right? Yeah. I think for me, my goal is, to be the best. Everybody wants to be the best. I think for me to be the best is I have to start to learn how to transition into like all these styles. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not saying I'm gonna be out here and be a super high flyer, but I'm not saying I'm not. Yeah. I don't know. You don't know. Keep it in the pocket. You always want to keep it in. Keep a little trick in your sleeve, right? So that's short term. Like definitely just into long term. Just keep learning. Yep. Keep learning for sure.
Master all challenges.
Master of all challenges. That's a fact. That's a statement. You see, double meaning to it. Long term is everybody's listen. If you're not trying to be world heavyweight champion and you're not trying to be in your version of WrestleMania in your mind, whether it's New Wrestle Kingdom or whatever it is. I mean, me personally, it's WrestleMania. Like that's just it. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to,
your dream right there.
It's WrestleMania. Let's go. Let's go for that chip. Let's go for that. That's what New York is about. Yankees, 27, 28 champ, whatever it is. Let's go for the big one. So I think you always gotta shoot as high as you can. And give me that main event, WrestleMania night 1 or 2, or night 1 and 2. Let's go. Night 1 and 2 back to back 2 years in a row. Let's go. Like what I'm saying. I want all that. I will just keep reaching. You know what I'm saying. And then, in life, things change a little bit. I would definitely, after that part, still stay in the business, still stay in the business, whether it's behind the scenes or whether it's maybe one day taking after my own mentor, Amazing Red and Brian Excel, and being at that level where I can open up my own school and bring in the next generation. You know what I'm saying? Maybe at that time I'll be in a different area of New York or whatever the case is, and it'll be local for whatever people want to come and learn. You know what I'm saying?
Pay it forward.
Yeah, pay it forward. We got to keep this going. Like we don't want to end. Like you don't want 50 years from now. Oh, remember professional wrestling? Hell no. Like, and I'm sure there's a whole people around this world that feel the same way. Like we want to keep this. It's been around for hundreds or whatever years. Like we want to keep this going. And that's how I feel, and give back. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I look at it.
Well, thank you very much for sitting down with me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
You've been great. Like, thank you for the shirt. Like,
of course.
Come on, like, yo.
Yo, I tell you, say we chest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, man. They'll call the cops and say there's noise pollution out there.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take it easy.
See y'all later.